Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another Minecraft discussion today. My name is Kimberly Quinn, and I am up at the notch once again, and it's not just drizzly, it's like, I'd say, full force rain, which actually works for what our topic is today, which is rooftop lullabies and homemade ice cream. And you may chuckle at this. My brother-in-law actually makes fun of us for this, but my husband and I, in addition to watching I Love Lucy and some other good oldies, the Brady Bunch, everybody watches that. That's in our age range, I think. We also are fans of the Waltons, and we tend to watch them and we just feel like we need to relax because it's so soothing, the Waltons. So anyway, if those of you who don't know the Walton show, which has inspired me from last night, it's a country family in Virginia, and it takes place during the 30s, which is obviously the Depression. Also, obviously, there are no technological distractions, none. No technology, and basically the driving theme, obviously they go through conflicts like any show, and the reason that, even if it were real, because obviously people in the Depression had to pull together a lot more, it's all about relationships, no matter how you cut it up, whatever the storyline is, whatever the theme is, and whatever that is they have to overcome, it's all about their relationships. And the one last night inspired me because one of my favorite simple pleasures, and the Waltons family is big on simple pleasures. Why? Because they're poor. They don't have any money. I mean, monetarily wise, they're poor. They're rich as far as everything else, and very hardworking. And one of the oldest Waltons there lived way back in there, in like a little mountain shack, basically. And they just didn't have anything, like literally dirt poor. And she talked about the simple pleasures. Her name was Martha Corinne, and she was like 1,000 years old and about 4 feet tall. And she talked about rooftop lullabies, and she was saying, meaning the rain, right, like the pitter-pat on the roof. And if you've got, like up here, it's even better, because most of us, actually we don't now, but we did, have a raised seam roof. It's metal. And of course, back then, they made roofs out of whatever they could make roofs out of. So the pitter-pat on a shingles roof is still fantastic. But if you've got a roof like they did, the pitter-pat is just this absolute symphony. And so it's strange because sometimes I get inspired and I'm like, this is a story for some time. I don't know when, but I feel like I'm going to use that. And I just had to bring that up because it's so simple. It's not like a huge episode here, except that to embrace that stuff, because back in the 30s, it was probably so much easier for them to embrace that because they didn't have the overwhelming distractions that we do. The overwhelming distractions that we do. And all in that same episode, when they were up visiting Martha Crane, who was like 1,000 years old and 4 feet tall, that's all they had was they had like a 1.5 room cabin with a fireplace and a few, stick wood furniture. And a little rocking chairs outside, and that was all. And so when the Walton kids came up there, she said, hand them three or four metal buckets and asked them to go pick the blackberries, and they could eat whatever she didn't use. So it shows them just so excited to go pick the blackberries, and they had to each their own bucket, and they're teasing the little ones because they're just purple and they're eating them all. And then when they come back, it shows the entire family in the house doing a different job with the homemade ice cream. So the cream and the big wooden churny thing with the handle, and then it showed them each, when it was just about ready, they're crunching up the ice, and they put it like in between a sheet and hammered it to get it to be what we would just throw into a machine, and you could push. I know the one we had for a while, I just don't use those that much, it had like 8 buttons, chopped, diced, spliced, big chips, little chips, whatever. It was just a hammer on the sheet. They dumped it all in. Nobody was all flipped out about germs either. And then when they did it, out came this purple, completely organic, for lack of a better word, just natural ice cream. And it showed them all licking the piece that goes in the middle. It probably has a name. I don't know what it is. But the whole process took all day. If you think about when it started with the blackberries, the kids picking them, feeling useful, feeling a sense of purpose and meaning, also enjoying the simple pleasure of eating the berries, being with their siblings, being productive and useful, which was nice for their, I think, great aunt or something. I don't know what she was, Martha Corinne. And then the whole family coming together in the house, or maybe it's outside on the picnic table, I forget it, but doing the churning, taking turns, my turn, can I try? And then they all licked the thing that looked like a little mini ladder. And they were all there. I'm thinking, there's an episode in this, because we need more group homemade ice cream doing which took, I mean, all day from start to finish, right? And then the results of it produced happy, happy purple faces. And then with the other thing, this is on the same show last night. I'm listening to it right now, if you can hear it behind me, the Rooftop Lullaby. And this is one of my favorite simple pleasures in the world. And so as soon as it gets warm enough in northern Vermont, I crank the windows open. The bird feeders are right outside, which is okay. I checked with the National Wildlife, and it's okay to have bird feeders out if you don't have domestic chickens as far as avian flu. Anyway, so the bird feeders are up to the songbirds, and at the same time, man, that we need more of this in 2022. We need more of this. Rooftop lullabies and homemade ice cream. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from the rainy, very peaceful northern Vermont in the woods. Have a mindful day.